What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about Cataclysm by Lydia Kang. So this is the follow-up to the book Convergence, which is part of Phase 2 of the High Republic. So we're 150 years in the past from what we saw in Phase 1. I know, it's complicated. And I will say, with Convergence, I wasn't super into it. Like, I really did like the story with Irem and Irono and the Forever War and, like, brokering for peace and, like, all that kind of stuff. But when it came to the politics, like, it was just a lot to be reintroduced to again. And then when I was going into this book, I just wasn't sure what to think. However, I really, really liked it, and I don't know why I'm surprised, because the second round of Phase 1 was also really good, and it seems like that is definitely the case for this round of Phase 2 as well. Convergence actually takes place after the events of the audio drama, which is the Battle of Jeddah. If you haven't read the audio drama, I do think you will be lost reading this book. I would even go so far as to say, if you haven't read the comics, you might even be a little bit lost, because the comics is completely telling like the story of the Battle of Jeddah. And because of that, I kind of see why they decided to make Convergence and Cataclysm just a duology instead of a 3-book series, because you kind of get like the meat of like when everything breaks down within that audio drama. When we pick up here, we do see Axel in prison after his betrayal to the Jedi. He is working with the Path of the Open Hand, and we see a lot of our Jedi being like, so the path was kind of, right in the middle of everything that happened on Jeddah. Maybe we should do some digging. Maybe we should look into them. And pretty much the first half of the book is just building up to all of our separate teams ending up on Dalna and the eventual battle that happens on Dalna. That is not a spoiler. It's very clear throughout this book that like something's happening, something is coming to a head, and it does come to a head on Dalna, which is the home planet of the Path of the Open Hand. I really liked the last half of this book, which is so surprising to me because it's all battle. Like, it was all action, and Lydia Kang does such a good job of making it feel very tense and very emotional. Like I said before, like being dropped in with all of these new characters with Phase 2 was very jarring for the first book, but much like with Phase 1, by the time you get to the second book, you feel a little bit more centered with them. They're the ones that like really well, so when it is time for their stories to be told, you're like, okay, like I know what we're doing, I know who this person is, I know where we're going, and I really did appreciate that with this book as well. Obviously, the standout for me is still the story of Gela and Axel, because Axel is so against the Jedi. He is definitely very lost. He's feeling, like his mother, who is one of the chancellors, has completely abandoned him. She doesn't believe in him. She doesn't trust him. She doesn't love him, which is obviously giving, very Ben Solo vibes. And then seeing this Jedi deal with possibly having these feelings for somebody is, very against the Jedi way. So I loved every section of their part of the story. It was very well done. I think the ending was also really cool, and I do hope we do get that expanded more in the future as well. And then aside from that, I also really loved Yaddle's storyline. Yaddle is such a cool character. I always thought she was interesting, and then I fell in love with her with Tales of the Jedi. She actually has a very big role to play in this book, so that was really exciting to see as well. Ultimately, I am giving this book an A-. I definitely think it was good, but I will say, if you haven't been keeping up with the other sections of Phase 2, I do feel like you would get lost. Obviously, the big one to have read is Convergence, because that's when you're introduced to everybody, but at least also reading the audio drama is gonna make a big difference. And then, as I said before too, like a lot of this stuff is also covered in the comics and in the YA novels. So I've been thinking a lot about like the reading order with Phase 2, because I just started Path of Vengeance because I got it a little bit early, and I have a feeling that I think you should end this wave or this phase with Cataclysm, because it feels more of that ending that is shooting us into Phase 3 instead of release order with it coming out first. But I'll talk more about that once I have finished the other books for this phase. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe to Top Books with me every week. That's everything I got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.